Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Hollywood After Dark. It is November 2nd, 2022, and tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. It's only Wednesday, but Hollywood is on fire. Avatar trailer, new Troll movie coming to Netflix, Spirited trailer, and of course, Ryan Kennel from Geeks and Gamers starring in the Derek Chauvin origin story? That can't be true. That can't be real. All of that tonight and more. Hollywood After Dark, folks. Let's fucking go. Oops. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on, guys. I'm Evan. There we go. All right. My God. Tonight, I'm just having technical problems out the ass, though. I apologize for being late for a considerable amount of time. Let me explain to you guys what happened. So, as I was prepping the stream, we were not that far away from starting. My 4-year-old daughter knocks on my door, and she's like, "Daddy, I'm not feeling well." I'm like, "Okay, come on in." You know, usually she has trouble sleeping, so I have a spare chair. She can curl up on it and watch her tablet and everything else. And then, all of a sudden, like, everything seemed fine. She had a cough drop. She's doing okay. And then I just look over and she just ralphs. And I'm talking like projectile vomiting on my carpet, on my vent, on my wall. It just oh my God, it was bad. And she had licorice, like some of her Halloween candy after the fact. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy. You know what? I mean, so I had to clean it and then I had to take a shower because, I treated that thing like Patrick Bateman trying to take out a crime scene. It is just bad. Yeah, she's definitely feeling a little bit better. There's that. The chat is not connected to the video. I don't know what that means. Reed, let me just quickly double check here. Like I said, guys, I'm having a bit of issue tonight. We're going to hope that things are going to hold through. We'll have to, I don't expect this to be a super long stream just because I need to make sure that the kid is okay, but there are things that we are going to be talking about. And let me just dive into this because I don't see why the stream wouldn't be synced up. All right, it looks good on my end, so I don't know what's going on. Shiny here says, "I cleaned cat piss and poop in my garage today twice. That's a crime scene." Yeah, dude, cats, love them. I've cleaned up my fair amount of cat poo and cat peed over the course of the years, so I understand that entirely. But man, I honestly really recommend getting your hands on one of those rollover kitty litter boxes. Saved myself a lot of trouble. So there we go on that one. All right, let's see. Ralph's Double Tits here says, "Green grass plot leak. Kennel plays a cop who is forced to quit because of the crazy left mayor seeing his city go into the gutter and takes matters into his own hands. Basically a knockoff Punisher." Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me at all. But I just had to laugh and had to add the whole Derek Chauvin origin story thing because that's exactly what he's won. Yeah, no, Ryan, we'll check the one out there towards the end, man. We'll check it out towards the end, definitely. So there's that. It's okay. I'll get one when I get a job. I thought you got a job. I thought you were getting ready to start a job. They're like $30 on Amazon. They're really good. So a couple things to get to here. Obviously, one of the reasons why I'm also a little bit behind tonight is I had to finish up my review of Wendell and Wild. That just dropped this last week on Netflix. You wouldn't know about it because they haven't been marketing the movie to save anyone's life. They haven't been marketing the movie, period. It feels like. I didn't even know that it came out. I saw them talk about it on Twitter like one time. The movie is interesting. The movie is fun. Very interesting commentary on inclusion and social justice, surprisingly. The movie is very inclusive, has a very interesting message about the school, the prison pipeline, as well as the prison industrial complex. Never mind the villain, I'm not even lying when I say this, is basically just a black version of Donald Trump. So there is, it's worth checking out if you happen to be a fan of animation. My review is up over on Podio Commentary, youtube.com Podio commentary. Be sure to check that out. Give that channel a sub. We're getting closer to 500, so I'm happy about that. We'll get there eventually. And then going right into it here, we did find out today that The Last of Us is premiering on January 15th on HBO. It will, in fact, be on HBO and HBO Max, so they are not wanting to discount or get rid of any of the people who still have the linear side of HBO, because you know how David Zaslav is. He's afraid of progress. He's afraid of all of those things. He's afraid to I don't know, to embrace the future. He has to hold on to the past. What can we say? He's a boomer. He's absolutely a boomer. It's 100% just what he is. But this show will consist of 9 episodes. Obviously, it is going to be bleak. It's going to be dark. It's going to be twisted. It's going to be amazing. And we'll definitely be talking about it here on the channel. I can't wait to watch it. Ralph's Double Tits here says, well, no more horror. Rip Hellraiser VHS 99. Yeah, here's the thing, man. I still plan on watching those movies. I've got them locked and loaded. The problem is that Wendell and Wild is something I could have watched with my kids. I couldn't watch Hellraiser or VHS with my kids. So those are the next ones I'm going to dive into. Obviously, now after doing Pearl and doing X, and I've done Terrifier and the Halloweens, Hellraiser and VHS are on my list to get that. Mo Moon here with a very trolly comment asking, do I have to watch The First of Us in order to understand The Last of Us? Nyarhar, nyarhar. So there you go. There's that one. All right. It's rated PG-13. Are you talking, what are you talking about? What's rated PG-13? Is it Wendell and Wild? Because yeah, it's a little dark for kids, to be fair. What is this here? Nen Droid Dancing says The Last of Us is going to be trash. That is words you will eat, Mr. Anime Avatar. Those are words you will absolutely... Nah, fuck that. Henry, here's the thing, man. I'm telling you right now. Dude, the guy behind the show is the guy who did Chernobyl. All right? Like, the guy behind The Last of Us is not Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann is writing, producing, and directing. Okay? But he is definitely like not the showrunner. The showrunner is the guy behind Chernobyl, and it's going to be great. Don't even trip. All right. Like, don't even fucking trip. Now, also The Mandalorian season 3 was confirmed to be coming out in February. So we're getting a double dose of extra Pedro at the beginning part of 2023. And man, I can't wait. It's been 2 years since the premiere of Mandalorian season 2. Weird to think it's been almost a whole year since, or coming up on a year, it feels like, since the Book of Boba Fett, which, you know, actually I need to watch it again. Now that I think about it, I need to watch it again. Obviously, where it is there. RJ says, people feel bummed by The Last of Us because of the sequel. I don't think it's fair to use it. See, here's the thing, RJ, you say people, look up the sales numbers for The Last of Us Part 2. Look up the sales numbers for that game. You want to know what hurt that game? What hurt that game is not the story, because people still bought it and played it and it was reviewed very, very, very well. What hurt it was the lack of multiplayer, because the multiplayer that dropped in that game came out in 2013 and with the remaster in 2014, people still play. They still absolutely play. So no, that game sold very well. Do not think that The Last of Us Part 2, when it came out 2 years ago, did not sell well. It sold very well. Let me clarify. The chat, okay, fine. Use the descriptive words. Thank you very much. Shiny here with the first super chat of the night. Thank you, buddy, for $6 and, of course, 69.99 cents. Thank you. Says, this is the last time I'm making it rain for a bit. They rescinded the job offer yesterday. LOL. I was looking forward to. Oh, well, whelp interview tomorrow. Man, that really sucks. That really, really sucks. I'm really unfortunate about that. Yeah, Henry, I said Druckmann. All right? Bebop, Witcher, Halo, etc. is not the creator of the show, isn't directly the creator, the writer of the world, the developer of Bebop and Witcher and Halo are not involved in those shows. Druckmann is involved in The Last of Us. He is there as a producer. He is writing some of the episodes. He is directing some of the episodes. There are definitely going to be people involved with the creation of the game, involved in the storytelling elements here. It's not just Craig Mazin. So again, what I'm talking about is all of those things you're referencing have nothing to do with what's going on with this one. I'm just saying. Donovan asking, is The Last of Us Part 1 coming to PC? I don't know. It should. At some point, you figured that it should. I'll tell you this though: if The Last of Us part 1, part 2, part 3, whatever, because they're going to do a part 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if they announce a part 3 right before the show comes out in January. I would probably just switch over to PC gaming at that point. Really, I mean that, to be honest with you. So. Film Goblin here asking, you mind if I join in the live to ask you more about the Cavill Superman cameo not moving the needle? Yeah, I'll tell you what, dude. DM me on Twitter. I'll send you the link when we get towards the end. There's a bunch of stuff to get to tonight, absolutely. But yeah, we'll talk about that. And there's a little thing with Henry Cavill in the middle of everything tonight, which we have to get to. So moving on here, we did find out today that there is a new Godzilla movie coming from Toho. It will release on November 3rd, 2023 in theaters. A Toho Godzilla movie is fucking lit, dude. It's lit. I'm very excited to see what Toho is going to do with this. Obviously, there is a very big fan base for Godzilla still. Obviously, a lot of people out there still really love Godzilla, and they want to see it go back to its roots. All things considered, there is a lot that's going to be going on. Hold on. Because Okay. Sorry, my girlfriend's asking me a question about the kids. So I do that. All right. Is this going to be a sequel to Shin Godzilla? I don't know. I have no freaking idea. All I know is that it's Toho and it's not legendary and it's not Godzilla versus Kong, which was not a bad movie. I enjoyed it. I just wanted more story. I think a lot of us just wanted more story. The storyline in King of the Monsters was pretty goddamn spectacular. So there's that. Tails here says, give me man in suit Godzilla. That's always a fun one. That's always a fun one to get into there. All right. So also here confirmed today, in a very odd piece of casting, in my opinion, we've got Aubrey Plaza is confirmed to star in Agatha Coven of Chaos, which starts filming here pretty soon. It should come out sometime in 2023. And I know people out there are kind of critical of the show, the idea of this show. A lot of people out there are just like, what's the point? Why do we need Agatha? Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do that? Yada, 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 yada. I'm like, look, it's honest to God. It's just more fucking things to watch, man. All right. At this point, it's just not a bad, look, Agatha, God, what's her name? Why am I blanking on her name right now? I don't know why. The woman who plays Agatha, who I know, and I'm blanking on her name in the moment. She is amazing. I love her as an actress. And of course, Aubrey Plaza is great. She's been really good in these different roles, and she's been expanding as an actress over the last, 10 plus years that she's been on the scene that we really know her from. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what this show puts together. Never mind, Agatha all along was a banger of a thing. It was a banger of a story, of a song. Catherine Hahn, thank you, Reed. It was Catherine Hahn and Spherical Man. Thank you. I'm really in for it. Yeah, RJ here says Agatha Coven of MILFs. It is. Listen, I'm just going to be honest. I'll be open as I am with you guys all the time. I never lie to you because I don't have a reason to. There are going to be so many women out there that are going to be adopting these costumes. So if the costumes are hot, get ready for a whole bunch of goth witch MILF women in costume. So if you like them goth MILFs, you are going to be great. Shiny here says Catherine Hahn is aging backwards. She looks younger than I saw her on 10 years ago. She definitely has taken more care of herself than others. Yes. Garrick asking, do I think we're getting too much Marvel content? It just seems Kevin Feige is spread too thin. Well, the reason why it feels we've got a lot of content has a lot to do with the fact that they had to delay everything by a year. So they put out a lot of content of stuff they already had in the pipeline, 2021, 2022, a lot of content. But at the same time, what they're aiming for, what they're going for, is they want to always have either a Marvel or Star Wars show that's out there, because that's really big for Disney Plus. And that's actually one of the bigger problems, is the fact that they don't necessarily have all of the, they need to do their timing a little bit better, and they need to do a fair amount more with all that stuff. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Let's see. Peach Mango Pie asking, speaking of goth, what do you think of the new Wednesday show? I think that drops sometime this month. I'm definitely down for it. After just the first time I've seen Jenna Ortega in anything was in X the other night, and I thought she was really good. So I'm really interested to see how she portrays Wednesday in this show. And obviously Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester is going to be really interesting. And then you've got Luis Guzman as Gomez and fucking, God, I'm blanking on names, man. The mom, the Morticia, I don't know why, Catherine Zeta-Jones, there we go. As Morticia, should be really fascinating to see what their dynamic is. I mean, are they going to replace Angelica Houston and Raul Julia? The answer to that is no, never. They're iconic. They're irreplaceable in any metric, but still, it's going to be a lot of fun. I am very interested to see where things go. Although I am at a point now where I'm not super interested in like shows as I am just movies. I don't have time for shows, but I can do a movie. You know what I mean? So there's that. Garricker says, plus the CGI in these Marvel shows are wonky as fuck. Blame that on the pandemic and the crunch, dude. The pandemic has a lot to do with that. Like there's a grind on the CG visual effects houses that they're not able to keep up with the demand. That has a lot to do with the pandemic and even coming off that. Fourth Year says, did Andor do as terrible in the ratings as I'm hearing? No, I mean, people aren't really talking about it, but then again, the show doesn't have a lot of like wow moments for people. It does have a really intense, insane, great storytelling, a lot of terrific acting, a lot of things that are building up to some stuff, and people are coming into it. I think as we get closer to the finale, more people will dive on in. There is something to be said about binging versus week to week in regards to like some people out there. I prefer like people to just like binge the show the week before the finale and then get into the finale, which is what I think is going to happen quite a bit here with Andor. So there's a lot going on with that there. Let's see. Garrick says, hot take, Andor is refreshing because it doesn't nostalgia bait like J.J. Abrams' Star Wars or Favreau Filoni Mandalorian. The thing is, though, is like, look, it doesn't nostalgia bait. That is true. I mean, there's some, let's be fair. There's some stuff in the background, like, Plo Koon's mask and everything else. There's stuff in the background. But even Favreau Filoni's nostalgia baiting seems to serve the story more so than not. Whereas JJ just used it as more of like a MacGuffin than anything else. All right. So you know what? Like you criticize the JJ Abrams Star Wars movies, even though I do unequivocally, unironically, and unabashedly love The Force Awakens. But that being, leave Mandalorian alone. All right. Leave Mandalorian alone. Mando's done nothing to you. Mando is love. Okay. Mando is life. All right. Garrick, you need to leave Mando alone. All right. Moving on here. This one dropped today. We get to see the very first trailer for Spirited. This is a modern Christmas carol. It's a musical starring Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, and Octavia Spencer, coming November 18th on Apple TV Plus. I think it is dropping a week before in theaters, but I thought we'd check out the trailer again. I have yet to actually watch this, so let's see if this is any good.
On a bitter, cold Christmas Eve, one dark soul is selected for redemption by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. A tradition that continues to this very night.
Like a Christmas carol?
Yes, if you would just let me get this out. Sit.
So out of all the people on the planet, murderers, people who do gender reveal parties, I'm the guy you're gonna haunt.
You know what? Forget it. I told you, the guy is a level 20 pain in the Dickens. Come on, I can take this guy.
I'm your ghost of Christmas present.
La 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 la, I'm not watching your dramatic re-entrapment.
Hey, I'm haunting you. You can't just run away from me when I'm haunting you. Hello?
All right.
I believe he can be a positive force for mankind.
And he's got his hands all over everything.
Yeah, I wish. Maud, are you texting HR? No.
People don't change.
We got a runner! That's just fun to watch. I'm here to change him to being a more positive force for humanity. Clint. Yeah.
Do you Photoshop yourself into these pictures of my executive VP?
I don't think so.
Oh, you want that.
What I want is for you to shut up and let me do my job.
Is there a ghost of Christmas Grumpy? Because you could do that job.
Is that Louis C.K.?
This is where real change begins.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, he's definitely... No, he's fine.
He's good.
Well,
He's good.
none of it's
Squirrely.
real anyway.
All right. You know what? That actually looks pretty good. I want to check out this shot here. I mean, that's not Louis C.K., but that feels like it's Louis C.K., right? That, I mean, like, it kind of looks like it's Louis C.K. I'm just saying. That's my take on it. That's my vibe right there. I agree with Donovan. It looks really good. It looks really funny. Fourth 1000 here says pass. Reed here says looks pretty decent. Garrick asking, why are you opposed to a joyful Superman? Because it's just boring to me. I've talked about this multiple fucking times. So there's that. Maybe it's a reference guy. Maybe. Shiny here says, no, it can't be him. It wouldn't be him. I mean, but it looks like Louis C.K. It does. It looks like Louis C.K. So we'll have to wait and see on that one there. But you know what? I gotta say, it looks entertaining as all hell. But that's not the trailer. You know, here's the thing here is Nick says here, Scrooge for millennials. Yeah, that's very true. That's what it feels like. It's a bit of a reversed Scrooge, so to speak. Donovan here says, I want an Argyle trailer so bad. Dude, there's so much going on with that movie right now that we don't know about. Who knows what's going on? There's now a rumor coming out. I mean, well, you told me this yourself, but I've heard this now brought up through somebody else, and they said that there's not even like the writer, the author of the book is actually not even a real person. That it's the story of Argyle is actually the story of the author of the book writing a spy novel because she has no memory of her actually being a spy. So I don't know what necessarily is going to go on with that. We're going to have to wait and see, all things considered. But with that, we'll get some good out of that. So also moving on here, thing I want to touch upon is, this is another trailer that dropped today. It's for Roar Uthog's Troll. This film releases on December 1st on Netflix. I do not know. I haven't watched this trailer yet. I do have it. We'll check it out. I think it's going to be very fascinating, very interesting to see. And so yeah, why don't we check out this Troll trailer? Because dude, if you can do a good troll movie, I'm very fucking happy. Does that make sense? Like, I'm very happy. So let's dive in.
Det utroliga ikke umulig.
Something fucked him up.
Som jeg fortalte dere at for 1000 år siden vandret det troll omkring.
We are on the ground here in Norway.
People running for their lives.
Imagine the consequences.
Hva det der?
Jeg ikke kvalifisert til å svare på hva dette er.
Men vi trenger noe som det.
Roar Gidman, statsministeren har gitt deg status som vitenskapelig rådgiver.
Dere vet at jeg graver opp fossiler?
Damn, that thing is huge.
Det måtte komme ut av fjellet i dag.
King Kong, kanskje?
Whoa!
Start opp.
Du vet det at det er et snev av sannhet i alle eventyr?
Herregud.
La oss utrydde den før den utrydder oss.
Dette eventyr har så vidt begynt.
Gimme. I want this so bad.
Call of Duty.
I want to see this.
Vi kan skremme den med våpen. Vi kan presse den nok. Men jeg lover deg. Naturen kommer til å slå tilbake.
Hey ho.
Let's go.
Oh man. All right. All right. You got me. You got me. I'm sold. I'm in. I'm watching this 100%. Spherical Man asking, is this set in the Troll Hunter universe? I don't believe so. Ryan here says, I'm kind of disappointed that they showed the monster in the trailer. I actually agree. Troll Hunter, the Norwegian found footage movie from what, like 2011, I think is when Troll Hunter came out. That movie was excellent. I really loved Troll Hunter. My only complaint with Troll Hunter is I felt like the first reveal of the first troll, that double-headed one in the forest, I thought could have been handled better. I didn't really care for that. But other than that, the movie was really interesting and like really fascinating. And I really like wanted them to do more with it. I did see the comment there about a possible American. Yeah, here we go. Fourth asks, wasn't there supposed to be an American version of Troll Hunter? There was. In fact, it was supposed to be Neil Marshall was supposed to direct that. And he actually ended up not doing that and went off to go do, what was it? He went to, he did Hellboy. so, you know, there's that. But man, like, oh, it's 2010. Okay. I mean, but it didn't hit Netflix, I think, until 2011. So I don't quite know. But that being said, man, like, holy shit, man. Look, does it look like King Kong or Godzilla meets a troll story? Yes, it absolutely does. Do I give a shit? No, I don't. Because you know what? Though, here's the thing with this, right? The reason why this is fascinating to me, the reason why this is interesting to me is because it is a take on that. It's a take on, like, it's their version of King Kong. It does have some Skull Island vibes. It'll be very interesting to see what's going on. Goblin, yeah, I did get your DM. I'll send you that here towards the end, all right? We're just kind of getting through everything. So Godzilla versus Troll. There we go. Spherical Man here says, either way, I'm all for it, dude. Hell yeah. So this drops December 1st. I will 100% be watching this at midnight. I will reach out to Netflix to try to hope to get my hands on an early screener. I want to watch this thing. I think it's going to be a blast. I cannot freaking wait. Speaking of the other things I cannot freaking wait for, we got the very first full trailer for Avatar. And I'll tell you this, it still doesn't tell me shit about the movie. All right. Like, if people want to complain about Troll Hunter or Troll showing the monster, showing maybe too much of what's going on, it's unfortunately how they cut American trailers now. I don't get why they do that. It's just Americans, people, film goers in general, want to know everything in the movie before they go see it, which is always unfortunate. But we did get the very first full trailer for Avatar, The Way of Water. And I'm telling you, like, I want to see this in 3D IMAX really bad. But at the same time, this was kind of a lackluster trailer. All right, Spherical Man says, and I'm out. Oh, you don't want to see anything in the movie? All right, fine. Come back in 5 minutes, all right? Come back in 5 minutes. Donovan here says, I'm glad the trailer is vague. I am too. But it didn't, like, it's already got my money, no question about it. But still, that is kind of where we find ourselves here. All right, there we go. So I'll make sure I have the right trailer. It's weird to think that that is 70-year-old Sigourney Weaver.
Dad, I know you think I'm crazy.
Never mind those big rocks.
But I feel her. I hear her heartbeat. She's so close.
So what does her heartbeat sound like?
Mighty.
We cannot let you bring your war here.
Outcast. That's all they see.
I see you.
way of water connects all things. Before your birth and after your death.
This is our home!
I need you with me. And I need you to be strong. Strongheart.
That dude, that print money, man. Print fucking money. Fourth here says Avatar 2 ain't got nothing on Tusk 2 coming soon, baby. Did they really announce that? Did Kevin Smith really announce Tusk 2? I still need to watch. I still need to watch that. I still need to watch Tusk. Spherical Man here says Navi grapes animals. Matt's okay with it. Wonder Woman 84 has Steve in another man's body. Matt calls Wonder Woman a grapist. I mean, like, the thing is though, they're you can't say that the Navi grape animals because the Navi bond with animals. That is part of their biological function. They have those little tendril things because that's part of the way that their species interconnect with one another. Because everything on Pandora, under the guidance and watchful eye of HWAD, is connected. In fact, the whole trailer there has a thing, like I can hear her heartbeat. They're talking about Grace Augustine. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about Grace Augustine because Kiri is being played by 70-year-old Sigourney Weaver. All right. There you go. So Rational here says, Cameron said Avatar 3 and 4 will be standalone stories that don't really connect. I mean, I get that. But here's another thing I just want to point out that I think is that I'm actually I think is fascinating. So here we go. Look at this here. Story by James Cameron and Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver and Josh Friedman and Shane Salerno. Screenplay by Cameron, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver. The people up here, these 5 people up here, these are the writers group that he put together for the mini writers room for Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5. And God knows whatever spinoffs are going to happen on that one. These writers' rooms are something he also did for Terminator Dark Fate. But we know that Terminator Dark Fate, because people didn't give it a fucking chance and they prejudged the movie before it came out, because it was actually a really solid movie that got a little bit borked in the editing bay because of, Cameron versus Tim Miller, which is really unfortunate. If they would have been on the same page, like Cameron and Robert Rodriguez for Alita, it would have been a much different world, but still, whatever. I enjoy the fact that he's giving them the credit, that he's putting them up there, because what that does is it actually helps get them more work. All right. There we go. Anthony here says Avatar 2 will make $2 billion. I mean, look, man, I think it's going to pull in $2 billion. I don't know. It could pull in, it could be very weird. Be very weird. I don't think it's going to pull in $2 billion. I could see $1.5 billion, but it ain't going to pop up 3. I'll tell you that much right now. That's definitely a hard thing to do. Almost impossible in this particular day and age. Jordan here says, after that Avatar 2 trailer, somewhere out there, you can hear angels printing money. Yes, you can. King of the Golden State here says Terminator Dark Fate was unnecessary. So was Avatar 2. So was fucking Terminator 2. So was Aliens. All right. You could argue that any sequel that doesn't follow a pre-established plot from the get-go is ultimately pointless. Now, does Avatar need a sequel? They push back the humans. They left the planet. It's going to take them 8 years to get back, or whatever it is. 5 years, 8 years, somewhere in there. They have to regroup, recalibrate, replan, then come back and try to fight them for their unobtainium and shit. All right, I'm just saying. It's not unnecessary, right? Ryan here says, at least it's proven with the Avatar re-release that there's still a demand for the franchise. There really is. There really is. Absolutely. Garrick here says Avatar will make $1 trillion. Look, I believe it's possible that Avatar as a combined franchise will definitely make a shitload of cash. A shitload of cash. Fourth here says Avatar 2 does not need a sequel. Well, Avatar, 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 are going to be their own things, right? So there you go. Setting up a trilogy. Rational here says Terminator Dark Fate just confused audiences after Genesis. Here's the thing with that, man. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I should sit down and watch Terminator 2 and Dark Fate back to back to back and see how it flows as a story. With ignoring Terminator 3, ignoring Terminator Salvation, ignoring Terminator Genesis, the last two of those are very easy to do. I do enjoy Terminator 3 quite a bit, to be fair. But I enjoyed Dark Fate a lot. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing. Peach Mango Pie asks, is it going to be released in China? I would argue yes, because it does very well in China. If anything else this year gets released in China, I think it's going to be Avatar. Garrick asking, would you rather have Dread 2 or Alita 2? Dread 2. I love Alita, dude, but Dread is a 10 out of 10 for me. I think it's great. Really excited to see if they ever got around to doing it. They would have my money instantaneously. But here's the thing. So would Alita 2. And Alita made enough money to warrant doing a sequel. I really feel like Robert Rodriguez needs to get out of this fucking weird kiddie space that he's in and go back to making movies that we know he can do really well. Geeks here says Cameron should have done Alita 2 first, then Avatar 2. Well, he wrote the Alita scripts are done. They've been done for a long time. So, I mean, the movie, I don't know how well it did on home video. Where can I even stream it? Is it on Disney Plus yet, or is it on Hulu? Can I watch that again? So, there's that. Rational here says, will Cameron do an extended cut of Avatar 2 like he did with the first one? Fuck if I know, dude. Hell if I know. I have no freaking idea if he would do that. Garrick here says, Rodriguez would rather make Shorts 2 or Spy Kids 5. Yeah, unfortunately. King of the Gold says, I need to come on one night so we can discuss James Cameron films. I'd be okay with that, man. I do love me some James Cameron. McLeod here says, do you see James Cameron's latest dipshit boomer takes about superhero films? The guy even said it in front of Zoe Saldana. Not Zoe Quinn. Wrong Zoe. Of all people. He did. I mean, he basically said the characters don't he called them basically frat boys. They're just all that there's no growth of the character, which I don't really agree with, especially in regards to how Gunn handled the Guardians franchise. But a lot of it's just not the kind of stuff he would make. And I get that quite a bit. I don't think it was as boomery as, let's say, Martin Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola, but he does come from a different time. Did I like James Cameron's Aquaman? You mean the only movie to outperform the original Spider-Man in the box office back in the early days of the 2000s? Absolutely. James Cameron's Aquaman, starring Vincent Chase and Mandy Moore. Such an epic, excellent movie. I can't believe it didn't get greater recognition. But Jake Gyllenhaal really borked it in the sequel. If you don't know what I'm referencing, it's the first season of Entourage, HBO back in the day. Yeah, I saw that when it came out, dude. I fucking love Entourage, man. I do. I really, 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 really love Entourage. So, Spherical Man here says Cameron is a dipshit and should go back to playing with his toy boats in the ocean. Nah, fuck that, dude. Fuck that. I love Cameron. I love Cameron, man. I love that you got that reference, dude. That was such a great, that was great. Anyway, Terminator 2, Jason Andrews, Terminator 2 did follow the plot line for Terminator 1. It was the best sequel. How did it not? I didn't say that it didn't. I'm saying that oftentimes, a lot of people don't give sequels that follow up a first movie that doesn't establish something that's coming down the pipeline a lot of a chance there, right? Terminator 2 makes sense given the fact that, of course, Skynet would send something else back. Of course they would. It just makes all the sense in the world. But then people got mad that it happened again in Terminator Dark Fate. Never mind, Terminator 3, Terminator Genesis, all had the same exact fucking plot. All I'm saying. Garrick here says, Entourage, a.k.a. Sex and the City for guys. Yeah, you're not wrong, actually. You're not wrong at all. But let's talk about some crazy shit. This is probably my favorite story of the day. Terrifier 2 has been submitted for Oscar consideration. The guy who behind it, Damien Leone, says, the thought of having members of the Academy endure an extreme unrated horror movie they would otherwise consider beneath them. That's just too hilarious of an opportunity to pass up. Fuck yes. Give Art the Clown best costuming. I mean, for one, they're not going to touch Terrifier. They're not going to touch Terrifier. Like, the obvious winner for best costume design is going to clearly go to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Like, we all know that. That's like every technical award is going to go to Black Panther. Even though Avatar 2 is going to be like superior on that front, everything is going to like Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to get nominated for practically every single freaking award out there that they can possibly do. They might even find a way to give a posthumous award to freaking Chadwick Boseman if he has like any kind of screen time in the film. Like, they're going to give whatever they can to this movie because they tried back in 2018. They did. We all know they tried back in 2018 to do this. However, they should consider Terrifier for best art, for best costume design. You're not going to have a more iconic art design than Art the Clown. You're just not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. But the thing is, these guys are very much like, look, they know for a fact, these guys absolutely positively know for a fact that they do that these guys know what they're up to. These guys know what they're doing. They know that they're trolling, but they've also been able to troll people into absolutely being to sending this movie up to have a hell of a time. Ryan here says The Exorcist and Jaws also made people physically sick in theaters, and they were nominated. Dude, Brian, like, look, Exorcist, absolutely. Jaws, for sure, but they're not Terrifier 2. Spherical Man here with the free super chat, member chat. Been a matinee member for 8 months. Thank you very much. Says, unpopular take. I thought Terrifier was meh. Here's the thing with dude, you can totally think that Terrifier is meh. That's entirely fine. I think the reason why I like Terrifier is I even said this in my review, that there were elements of the story. It was very straightforward, and that kind of hurt it because they also left a lot on the table that they explained in Terrifier 2, kind of, but still it was like, yeah, it was like the kills were brutal. The movie was brutal. But I thought there was like I really enjoyed it by the end of it. And then I really enjoyed Terrifier 2, but they were just different, like, kinds of movies, you know, like Terrifier 1 again deals a lot with like just like the slow burn slasher movie, like, why is this carnage happening? No one knows. But then Terrifier 2 goes into more of like the metaphysical, and you're just like, what the hell? You get to that end credit scene and you're like, seriously, what the hell is going on? But now I'm intrigued and I want to know more. And I thought that the lead actor in Terrifier 2, the Laura Laverne, I thought she was great. I thought she was really good. She was compelling. Like, the acting in number 2 was way better than number 1. Number 1 had some pretty bad actors and everything else. And that might have hurt it as well. But I think the idea of what Art the Clown was very interesting. That being said, man, bring on Terrifier 3. I'm really excited for this one. Let's see. Spherical Man says, I have to wait for Terrifier 2 to be available on free streaming to maybe enjoy it more. Did you see it at all yet? I mean, I think I know where it might be. If it's out, I'm not too sure. You can find it in places. So let's see. Ralph's Double Tits here says, the only part I liked is when Art went full gangster on that final girl. Well, he used the same weapon on her that he did with the woman at the end of the first movie, you know. So unless that's what you're talking about, because they kind of used a lot of that stuff. Anyway, I liked it. Fuck the Academy. Make those old fuddy-duddies vomit in terror, because I'm so over the Academy Awards. You know, it's like, fuck them. They just, no. The Academy, the MPAA, most of the establishment, I'm having more fun watching smaller projects that would rarely ever see the light of day, because quite frankly, it's just, for me, it's I'm just having more fun with it. I have more fun with it there. Yeah, I don't want to tell you guys where to find it, but the movie does exist in certain places, by the way. So anyway, all right. Ryan here says, I won't forgive the Oscars for not nominating Won't You Be My Neighbor for Best Documentary Feature and their stance on animation. Yeah, Ryan, I know you take the any kind of dismissal of animation very, very seriously, and I totally understand that, and I totally get that. I do feel that For me, it was when they gave Best Original Song to Phil Collins for Tarzan over Blame Canada from Bigger, Longer, and Uncut South Park. I just feel like Blame Canada was a far more unique, engaging, and interesting song that has absolutely stood the test of time. Here it is over 20 years later, and I can still sing that song goddamn near verbatim, you know? And that song is, and they had Robin Williams perform it because the woman who voiced, Kyle's mom, she had passed away. So, Robin Williams came out, he performed it. They did this whole song and dance number. Trey Parker and Matt Stone wore dresses to the Oscars. They were high, I think, on like some kind of drug at the time and just having fun with it because they didn't think that they were going to win. And the Academy basically like nominated them, but then gave it to fucking Phil Collins. And no shade towards Phil Collins, man. Okay. Fucking In the Air Tonight. Goddamn fantastic song. Even though, like the non-point version is like, not as good, but for a cover, it's surprisingly decent. I'm just saying, it is what it is on that. I hate the Oscar shit. Geeks is saying, so sail the high seas. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to do it or don't do it. I am saying that it is available in certain places if you are unable to get to the theater, but it should be on Tubi relatively soon. And I know it will be on 4K here before the end of the year. All right, moving on. This is something that popped up today. It's a bit of a last minute addition to this whole conversation. And we're going to bring on Film Goblin here in a little bit to talk about Henry Cavill. But this is something unrelated to that. So out of nowhere, out of the blue, nobody asking, Frost, fresh off being fired from G4 TV, comes out and says, Henry Cavill said some very questionable things around Me Too and dated a 19-year-old as a 30-plus. Seeing how people throw themselves at his feet for The Witcher is weird. The show is whatever at best. This is, grade A nuclear bad take in my opinion. So for one, if you look up the story, he was dating a young woman who was 19. He was 32 and like 32 just into 33. So it was like, I think like a 13-year difference. Not great. Okay. But it wasn't like he was, near 40, which is what he is now, dating a 19-year-old. It's a little bit of a different thing there, and people date around. I'm not a big fan of it. If my daughter was 19 dating a 30-year-old, I wouldn't necessarily be like the happiest about it, but they're of age, legal adults who are making their own consenting opinions. And that is, it's fine. It's fine. You can not like it, but no laws were broken. Condemn it all you want. No laws were broken. But then she's just like, Witcher is just a whatever show. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what? And then also Henry Cavill's comments about Me Too were, a lot of it was like, he's like, I'm a little bit afraid to date, because of Me Too. And let's be fair. Let's be real. Let's be honest for a goddamn second. Okay. Me Too had a lot of misfires, not just Andy Signore, but there were other accusations that came out that absolutely were wrong. They were bad. They were falsified. They were fake. They weren't true. They weren't real. They destroyed careers. The sniff of any kind of impropriety absolutely destroyed careers. And so it's like, Henry Cavill was just being honest. Like, I don't quite know what's going on here, guys. I don't quite, I'm a little bit on the worried side. Look, Henry Cavill did date Gina Carano, and you want to get at him for dating a 19-year-old? Oof. He also dated Kaylee Cuoco. Hollywood actors tend to date. And I think it's kind of ridiculous to get on him for that thing. It's like, I remember, man, my best friend growing up, his grandfather was 15 years older than his grandmother. 15 years older. Never once was that looked at as a bad thing. Never once did anyone say anything about that. Now I'm 40. I don't know if I was single, if I was like, would I date a 25-year-old? No, I don't think I would. But that's just my take on it. I actually tend to find older women more attractive. So I'd be like, yeah, cool. So that's how I view it. But it's like, again, at the same time, it's like, you can judge it for how you would do it, but you can't call it, this is a bad take. Off topic, did I hear that Netflix renewed Sandman? I did, but I haven't seen Sandman yet, so I didn't really want to talk much about it. But anyway, The Witcher is a really good show. This is a really bad take, and stay unemployed. Just stay unemployed. All right, so let's talk about this right here. This is the thing. All right, Rational, I see your super chat. We'll get to that here in a minute. as we get to the final story of the night. So this is something that came out today. And what the fuck? I was sent this today. Like, holy shit. And like, I don't know what it is. But I made a joke about it here. I called it the Derek Chauvin origin story because it just seems to be what exactly Ryan Kendall would be into. Now, this is coming in from something called the Epicverse, which I thought was a knockoff of like Ripaverse. I thought it was a thing. It's actually another Geeks and Gamers guy who's like, I want to be like a non-woke filmmaker. I want to tell these non-woke, non-SJW, non-inclusive, non-diversity led stories. Right? Blah, 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 blah. So he brings out the whitest motherfucker in all of fucking Eastern Florida and he puts him in a movie. I don't even know if this is a short film. I don't know if this is a whatever, but you can see here that it's produced by Epicverse and Geeks and Gamers. So they got to be trying to pull their card and get that into, they're trying to get into like the film side of things. So they bring in Ryan fucking Kendall. But here's the thing. Just a couple weeks ago, Epicverse put out a teaser for what it is that they're trying to do. I give you an idea, a vibe, if you will. And yeah, this is the thing.
For years, we've had to deal with Hollywood's woke onslaught of destructive agendas in their films. That changes today. That's why we launched Epicverse. At Epicverse, we care about excellent storytelling and respect for our fans. Things Hollywood has forgotten. So follow Epicverse wherever you can and tell your friends. We can't win without you. Comeback starts today. Will you join us?
Oh my God. Look at this here. Look at this here. It's all like the comeback starts today. Like, what, are you coming on someone's back? What the fuck? I have to re-edit it like you lit a cross on fire. I might have to do that. Yeah, I might have to dive in on that one. What I'm trying to find, I don't have the image handy. I must have deleted it, unfortunately. But one of the interesting things that popped up the other day, because this is Josiah Rises, by the way. All right. This is Josiah Rises. And yeah, I'll look up the website real quick. Epicverse.tv. Epicverse.tv. Okay. So let's see what's on this website here. Okay, we gotta check this out. So I just want to point out, I did my cover of it. Max just sent me this. This is his cover. He always shows my my stuff on his show. So here's Max talking about this. If you want to go check out his little video talking about that, you know, but I don't know. I will say though, epic fail shows the woke will not replace us. I mean, bringing out the tiki torch shit, man, that's a bold move. That's a bold move, Cotton. We'll have to see how that plays out. But anyway, here. So this is their website. And so this is what it says here. All right. A quote from Gandalf. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. And this is it. Just coming soon, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. Stay in the loop. There you go. This is what they are. This is all they've got. But you can buy your merch, guys. You can already buy your merch. Let me bring this up here because it opens up in another page. So you can already buy your merch. Right? What do we got here? Shop now. Get your Epicverse t-shirt, $26. Get your Epicverse hat, $20. Get a baseball cap, $20. Get a mug that looks surprisingly like the Mockingjay Part 2 logo. This is what they offer here. You get an Epicverse men's premium hoodie, $43. That's right, guys. Do you want to be like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers? Do you want to be like all those guys who consistently just wear their own merch? That is where we find ourselves on this shit. My God, coming soon from Incelverse. Absolutely, Nihilus. Absolutely. This is not a joke. geeks. I'm sorry. I wish it was. I wish it was a joke. It's not. They are absolutely wanting to do this because they want to play off Rippaverse. They want to go, that guy made $3 million. We could totally do that. They don't have the fucking sway, but they do have enough gullible morons to probably be able to get 1 or 2 projects off the ground, which is where this green grass story is coming out there. Let's see, McLeod says, yeah, if burning the Hollywood sign doesn't come off a little bit white power-ish, then I don't know what else to call it. Dude, fucking serious. Like he lights a tomahawk and throws it into the Hollywood sign. This, by the way, by the way, can like, what was the, okay, so hold on. I gotta find it. I gotta find it here. It's, the guy who attacked Nancy Pelosi, right? David D. There we go. I gotta try to find this here. If I could find the tweet, because it was moving itself around. David DePappy, the guy who broke in to Nancy Pelosi's house, who assaulted the husband, right? Paul Pelosi, and all of those things, did that, you know, and the last thing he posted on his website before it went down was that he had watched a video from Josiah Rises about Black Adam and started calling it all communism. And yeah, is that guy still around? Yeah, he's got like 230,000 followers now. Like, again, he's just the same shit, right? It's just all the same regurgitated nonsense. But that's the fucking hysterical part about this, is that like these guys are trying to play that up. Never mind the fact that just the other day, you know, a guy who tried to kill the Speaker of the House, or well, sorry, his manifesto, what he had told the authorities was, if Nancy had lied to him, he was going to break her kneecaps with the hammer. So, you know, I think one of 2 hammers he was carrying, so he could then watch as she had to be wheeled into Congress for all the lies that she told. Like, this is the kind of shit this crazy motherfucker was going to do. And Josiah Rises is like the last video he watched before the rampage. Well, attempted rampage, but definitely a lot of crazy shit there. This is why this shit needs to be talked about, because it's fucking insane how nutty these dudes get and how their audience is getting nuttier, because all they do is spew the same nonsense and everything else. And it is, look, I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not, again, let me just quickly remind people to reiterate this shit. I'm not saying flag them. I'm not saying report them. What I'm saying is, if you have the opportunity, if you have the ability, call them out on the platform where they are. Call them out on YouTube. Call them out on Rumble or BitChute or wherever the fuck else they are. Get other people who might see them. Give them a dose of reality. There you go. That is the thing. You know, yeah, season 2 of The Boys, anyone? Exactly, Taylor. 100%. That's what this shit is. But these guys, they don't actually care. They think it's fucking funny. They think it's fucking funny that they inspire this kind of nonsense. Me personally, I would have trouble. To be fair, I have trouble fucking sleeping at night. You know, so it is what it is on that one. But anyway, I just wanted to laugh at that shit. We can move on here to the final topic of the night. The Russo brothers say that they won't be able to do or ready to do anything with Marvel until the end of the decade. Generally throwing water, generally dousing the flame, the hope that they're going to come in to direct Secret Wars or anything else, coming back into Marvel. But look, here's the thing. These guys, I've been hearing that they're going to do Secret Wars for a while. I don't know how true it is. I mean, like, after watching The Gray Man, I'm a little bit on the side. Not that The Gray Man was a bad movie. I enjoyed it, but it was like, I feel like it was like missing a producer to like really tighten it up a little bit. And these guys are usually really good, so I don't know what happened. Because like, they wrote and produced Extraction. And I loved Extraction. Like, Sam Hargrave did a great job directing it. But like, they did a good job with the story and getting it locked and loaded. But with The Gray Man, they had a blank check and could do whatever they wanted. And obviously certain things kind of went out. So this is why we're talking about the concept of TikTok and Hercules on the cover of the stream here, because apparently Disney's live action Hercules will be more experimental and it will be inspired by TikTok, according to the Russos here. And that has a lot of people really, really like, what the hell are they talking about? Now, The Hercules movie will be produced by them, directed by Guy Ritchie. But according to the article here, it says that the Russos' live action Hercules will also be a musical, and it will share the origins unconventional approach, saying there are questions about how you translate it as a musical. Audiences today have been trained by TikTok, right? What is their expectation of what that musical looks like and feels like? That can be a lot of fun and help us push the boundaries a little bit on how to execute a modern musical. So it's not saying like it's going to be inspired by TikTok, but if you look at the way TikTok operates in regards to music, it is relatively interesting. Like they, the way that like, you know, it does kind of like draw like people doing the dances, people doing the covers. It was originally called Musical.ly. That was the original title. You know, that was the original title of the app before it got sold and turned into TikTok. So I don't know what they're going to do here, but it's probably going to be really flashy. It's probably going to be like really in your face, and it will probably be relatively contemporary in regards to how it tackles modern dances. So that's kind of how I view it here. But at the same time, it's like they're just giving you an idea. It's not saying like they're going to go to TikTok and like pull talent. But look, the Halle Bailey, you know, Little Mermaid bit that popped up a little while back, that destroyed on TikTok. More views than YouTube, more views than Insta, more views than other things. So it absolutely does. It does its own stuff. You know what I'm saying? It does its own stuff there. But I'd be curious to see what they do with this. I thought Guy Ritchie did a good job with Aladdin. To see him tackle Hercules should be very interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. Chaser here says, I saw people having meltdowns about this. Yeah, me too. I don't care. I'll probably won't even watch it till it hits Disney Plus. So unless my kids are dying to go see it, but again, like it is what it is. We're going to have to, go with that one here. Taylor here says, Guy Ritchie loved most of his movies, directing another Disney live action remake. Hard pass. Aladdin was disappointing, to put it lightly. Aladdin was better than many people out there expected it to be. That's the thing, Taylor. It was actually a lot better than people out there gave it question, or they thought it was going to be. But okay, that actually brings us to the end of the commentary for tonight. A lot went through. Right. Sorry. I did miss Rational here. It says, what's your opinion on Disney race swapping Hercules for the live action movie? I mean, are they race swapping Hercules for the live action movie? I don't know what they're planning on doing with that. I can't say it's going to necessarily be a great move. But then again, you know what? They're surviving the backlash surrounding Ariel. So who knows? But again, we do live in a diverse world and people out there want to be represented, and representation actually goes a long way. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I don't quite know yet, but joining me for, I guess, a quick conversation is Film Goblin. What's going on, Film Goblin?
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Sure, man. So you said you wanted to come on and you wanted to press me about Henry Cavill. Is that it?
Well, yeah. The other night, you were talking about the needle didn't move up for his cameo, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting because it's like, so do you think it's possible that Needle could have probably gone up just a little bit more if he had shown up in the black suit?
So, you know, on that note, like, I don't think the needle would have moved depending on whatever suit he was in. To be fair.
The reason why I asked is because you said that the last time we saw him in a movie as that character is that it was in Justice League 2017, which really tainted like the character and Batman pretty much.
Well, I absolutely. Oh, I'm getting a lot of feedback on your end.
Oh, sorry.
There's as I've said, and you know, the reason why we didn't see Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill come back after Justice League was because those were the big characters, and Wonder Woman 84 was already in not in pre-production, but it was in like active development at the time. So it was already happening because the first movie had done so well. The thing is though, is that, yeah, Superman and Batman were just like, they were like caricatures of themselves at that point in that movie. Like Affleck looked fat. He was bloated from the alcohol. it looked like Fat Fleck. I mean, like, it was like a lighter tone, like, oh, that's going to leave a mark sort of thing.
Yeah, I was wondering too. Didn't you think Cavill kind of look a little bloated in that cameo? At least like the neck.
In the Black Adam cameo?
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at his neck, to be honest with you. But, I mean, he was also at an angle, right? Like he was kind of turned to the side. It felt like to kind of play into the light to kind of put a shine on the suit. But he looked different from what we saw when he was, from last year with the Snyder Cut, because that was shot in
Yeah. Well,
bulked up for The Witcher.
Yeah. What I'm saying is though, like, even though after Justice League, he's been working out a lot.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But I don't know, just to me recently, even in that interview he's been having, he kind of just looks a little bloated. I don't know, just maybe he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. But obviously he's going to go back and do it for the role of Superman. Why not?
Well, I think part of it with him is that he's in a bit of a tough situation right now, because I do believe that he went to like,
maybe that all has to do with the pandemic too.
Well, the pandemic is one thing on it, but there's the question. Do people fundamentally care about Superman? That is the question. And I mean, think about it from the perspective of people not in this world, not in this space.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying though, is because I really think what kind of tampered that cameo was obviously they leaked it online pretty much. And I think it just did not do any favors with him saying like, we're going to use the John Williams score and use the red and blue suit, because it's like, obviously the last time we saw him try to do that was in, Justice League 2017. So I just think there would have been a little bit more excitement if it was the black suit, because it would have come off the Snyder Cut, which was obviously more praised, got more praise than the theatrical version, of course.
Well, I mean, the Snyder Cut, it's great, right? I love it. I thought it was fantastic. But you have to ask yourself how many people at the time had seen it. Like we're talking like domestically, internationally, a lot of people watched it. It was heavily pirated. A lot of people, did pay for the VOD of it. I believe the Blu-ray sales, the home video sales domestically had pulled in about 13 million, but like it cost them, 70 million to finish it, and then another 30 million to market it. And it was meant to build up HBO Max, and it didn't really build up HBO Max that much, because it should have probably been HBO Max as well as HBO, but it wasn't. And so like fewer people saw it, at least on the service. And that's what they gauged the metrics by, and a lot of people out there were just like saying like, oh, on this app, it did this many, but we don't know what that necessarily translates to. And they never released any hard numbers. So, it's like, I don't think that having the black suit would have mattered. I really don't. I think having the John Williams score was meant to attract the boomers that grew up watching the original film. Like they remember looking at the original 78 Superman poster saying, you'll believe a man can fly, and then they hear like, like Black Adam goes, send everyone or whatever. And then here comes Superman. You hear dun, 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 dun. And it's like, okay, great. We're back in 2006 all over again, because the last time you heard the John Williams theme in a movie was in 2006's Superman Returns, which was not a well-regarded movie.
Yeah.
So I do think there's an apathy towards Superman, right? I do think there's an apathy. I think there's a lot of people out there that just don't fucking care, because they haven't given him anything truly compelling. He's fought Lex Luthor, or he's fought Zod. Those are the two villains he's fought multiple times now.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree, because, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, the needle by that whatever metric, would have gone up drastically if he used a black suit, but I think it just would have helped a little bit,
See, I get what you're saying, but I don't think so, because it doesn't matter if he's wearing the red suit, black suit, or if his fucking, elephant trunk is hanging out. Henry Cavill being back as Superman is what the people online are all over, right? They're the ones that are like, oh my God, he's back. It's amazing. Holy shit. It's fucking dope. And then it doesn't matter. They're glad that he's back. The metric is going to be, like, I will say this, if they, and I've said this before, if they would have put him in the final act of the movie going up against Sabak, and he would have helped out Black Adam or helped out the JSA or whatever, that would be a different scenario, because then you get more of him than 5 seconds. But at the same time, everything with DC is so rocky. There's an apathy towards it, right? There's an apathy towards it. Whereas you've got like the Batman, a new Batman in a non-connected universe, get 770 million worldwide, following up a Joker movie that's set in a non-connected universe, pulling in over $1 billion. But then you look at like Wonder Woman 84, crash and burn, Suicide Squad, box office wise, crash and burn, even though it did well, on streaming and everything else. Birds of Prey did okay, but it still, it got, the problem was the pandemic, and the movie itself had bad marketing. So it's like people out there are just, they want consistency and they're not getting it out of DC. I think they're going to get it now because Gunn and Safran took over, and like that's something Gunn's good at. But at the same time, it's like they better come out and announce what the fuck their plans are, like sooner rather than later, because otherwise it's just going to be messy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. A level of consistency. If he did show up in the black suit, that would have said, okay, we're going off by the Snyder cut and not the 2017 version.
Yeah.
I think fans.
But they've also said that the Snyder cut is just that. It's the cul-de-sac. They've already said that. They've reiterated that multiple times.
Well, that was the old regime. We don't know what the new.
No, here's the thing with that too. The old regime. No, it's the regime. It doesn't matter, because they're not gonna, like. Here's the thing: if they cut out fucking if the old regime was like, we need to bring back Michael Keaton's Batman as a way to tie in the multiverse to get to that storyline, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get up to the multiverse stuff. Like that's the angle that they're going for. But they're not going to sit there and they're not going to talk about a movie that is meant to be just a one-off. They invested the money into it. It didn't have the return. It didn't have, now it might have sparked the conversation. It might have brought Henry Cavill and Ben back to the table a little bit to kind of go, man, there's a lot of good responses here from fans. There's a lot of good responses, but Warner Brothers has to look at it from the perspective of a business. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is investing $200 million into a movie going to see enough of a return to warrant the expenditure? Black Adam is a $200 million movie with a $100 million marketing budget. It needs to pull in at least $600 million to be even somewhat profitable. And it's not looking like it's going to hit $600 million. Like I've said, like when it came out that Henry Cavill was confirmed for the movie and it dropped the estimates by 10 million, that's saying something, and then people walked out of the movie. And again, like they're not really talking much about that final scene. They're not telling their friends to go see the movie. That's the problem that's the biggest problem with Black Adam, is that it's a mediocre movie with a good post credit, but that's not enough to move the needle to get people to show up. And that again speaks to The Rock's popularity, or really the lack thereof, which I keep talking about and I keep getting told I'm wrong, but I keep getting proven right time and time again.
Well, no, yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought Black Adam was fine, I honestly felt like, obviously, the story was kind of convoluted and it was a mess. Like, you agree with that, right?
Oh, 100%, dude. The fucking story was garbage.
I think that all mainly comes from just shoehorning in the Justice Society in the movie with no, like, any explanation as to why they're even in it at all, when it's supposed to just be a Black Adam movie, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're going to make a Black Adam movie, then just make a Black Adam movie. Like, don't have all these other characters that haven't even been established or shown up before in any of the previous movies to just be there as basically, like, I guess, they're considered side characters, but they don't feel like it. They feel more like main characters than the actual main character of the movie,
Yeah, I think a big part of it is like Black Adam was a middle of the road movie, and that's not what audiences are after going to the theater anymore. I think Morbius proved that, And the problem with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is that he's all like, "Oh no, but people come for me." Like, nah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think there's also a little bit of a Rock fatigue too. It's just like kind of people just
see.
Kind of.
I love this here. Black Adam just topped the box office again. You're wrong. Right? Yeah. No, it did. It was number one again. Still shrinking, still dropping, and Black Panther comes out pretty soon. I'm just saying, it's just like, you can sit there and say like, oh, it's number one. Sure. It did. Can't deny that 100%. Like I said, the movie's okay. The movie's okay, but up against any kind of real competition, it's going to die off. It's out right now where there's no competition. You know what I mean? Like Black Panther Wakanda Forever is coming like, 2 weeks, right? Like that movie is going to dominate. Like it's going to dominate. And Black Adam is not doing anything right now to where people are like rushing out to go see it again and again and again and again. I'm just not wrong. I'm not wrong saying the numbers don't lie. It's dropping. It's not having its hold was okay. But again, when it comes to the movie, international and domestic, it's not making the money that it needs to warrant the cost that it made, that it was. So like, that's the thing with this kind of shit. Anyway, like what's the other part of this I was going to say? Like, and Grace Randolph actually made a really interesting point, which I hate to admit, but she did, with this whole, like, I think, and I've said this before, when they were trying to figure out who was going to take over DC, Black Adam coming out when it did, I think if it would have taken the internet by storm, taken the movie theaters by storm, Zaslav would have looked at The Rock and his production team and been like, what can you guys do to bolster our finances? And that's what they needed to do. And the thing is, though, is Black Adam, like they knew wasn't going to do it. It wasn't going to light anything on fire. They were hopeful, but even with The Rock carrying all the marketing for that movie on his back, to his credit, by the way, that ended up being like a really interesting factor. So the way I see it is they are kind of at a point where it's like, James Gunn and Safran took over yesterday. The Rock hasn't congratulated them at all on social media.
Yeah.
Like and that's like, oh, really? Like you haven't, this is like your new boss on the subject. But I think what it was is I think that they were trying to get Hiram Garcia the job. And I think they were trying to instill their guy at the head of DC to answer directly to Zaslav, who would then also answer directly to them and be able to prop up the projects they want as a way to brute force The Rock's legacy. Because I think as The Rock, and he's past 50, he realizes that while he is popular and he is famous and people like him, he does not have the legacy that he wants. And at this point, as I have said, Black Adam was his last shot and it failed. It fucking failed.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like, because what do you do with him now? What do you do with him now? He wasn't even the most interesting part of his own movie. The JSA was the most interesting part of Black Adam. His villain was weak sauce and it was terrible. And at the end of it, again, he's still usurped by a fucking cameo. Nothing about, this is the thing. The Rock is really good at being part of a thing, but not leading the thing. And that was proven once again. And there's also the whole report now about the disdain about Shazam and making, and cutting out the Black Adam stuff from Shazam and trying to do what he doesn't even talk about fighting Shazam. He talks about fighting Superman, even though he's a Shazam villain.
That's what I was going to ask you too. So do you think Black Adam is going to hurt Shazam's box office? When does it come out? March?
Shazam comes out in March. I think, no, it comes out in the first week of March. And that is traditionally a good time for family-oriented films. And surprisingly, Warner Brothers movies tend to do pretty well around that particular time. I think that Shazam has done well enough with fan bases in 4 years, it should probably do better.
Well, from my, I don't know, just with my circle of friends personally, I like a lot of them. I asked like, "Hey, what do you think about Shazam?" And a lot of them didn't really like it when it came out, or just didn't even bother to go see it because a lot of them thought it just looked kind of dumb. Even my sister.
See, I mean, I understand that. I saw it at the they did an early screening of it, and I went and saw it, and I loved it. And a lot of people I've talked to over the years have loved it too, you know. And so I think it's built up a bit of a fan base going into the sequel. But the fact that the movie keeps getting delayed is not helping it. But at least it's not a sacrificial lamb to Avatar, and at least it's getting its own space now.
Well, yeah, but like, do you think Black Adam possibly hurt it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it did. I think Black Adam. I don't think Black Adam really hurt anything. I don't think it did. I don't think it. I don't think any of it moved the needle. Right.
Well, that's the thing too. Do you think that cameo of Superman was even necessary to be put in the movie?
It was a last ditch effort to try to make a mediocre movie slightly better.
But I'm saying, regardless if the movie was mediocre or not, do you think that cameo really added any purpose to the movie whatsoever, other than just fan service?
I mean, it was fan servicey, and it was trying to establish, you know, stuff for the future. You know, they're trying to like they you know, the thing with The Rock is like he's trying to figure out the best way to build up this universe. Because if you think about it, and I give Black Adam a lot of credit, it's got, you know, the Suicide Squad in it, 2 people from the Suicide Squad. It's got the JSA. It's got a Superman cameo. You know, it mentions like other things that have gone on. And you're like, okay, cool. This movie is like really trying to establish itself inside that universe, which is good. It's very good. The downside, though, is that it establishes itself inside this universe, but it does it in a way that is just mediocre. I mean, dude, like even the director of the movie, like didn't really do much in regards to marketing by the end of it. He didn't do much in regards to anything because he was just brought in.
Well, that's what I'm worried is too, is the future movies. Like, I hope they don't just throw in Superman and all these other characters like Batman and Wonder Woman in them as just cameos just for the sake of fan service to go out and see those movies. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I don't think Henry Cavill will do that anymore. I think because there was a thing. Remember, he turned down the Shazam cameo. They had wanted him for other projects, and he had turned them down because he didn't want to just end up being this, you know, this cameo character, because he wants to be a star. He wants to be a movie star. He's Superman, for crying out loud. He should be a star. The problem, though, is just that they've, you know, there are people out there that will sit there and say, oh, the cover of Superman, like how they handled Superman in Man of Steel and BVS, and how he was like a darker character and he wasn't the joyful Boy Scout, and that damaged him. But I've repeatedly said, and I stand by this, nobody gives a fuck, because no one gave a fuck about Brandon Routh as Superman Returns back in 2006. You know,
well, yeah, that's
Christopher
why,
Reeves.
You said you're not really into comics, right?
I don't read comics, no.
And so you would say you're considered more of the part of the general audience.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I'm a general audience guy that understands how characters work cinematically. Mm-hmm. And that's where I approach it from. Where I know, because here's the thing, like when I say people like go read the comics, fuck the comics, give me a character on screen that's interesting. Right?
Yeah.
Because the interpretation is vastly different. You know, it's like I absolutely adore the book World War Z. Love that fucking book. The movie, nothing like it. But I still enjoy the movie for what it was.
Well, yeah. So I was thinking too, like, do you believe that Superman is just not as popular as the way the fandom makes him out to be?
I think the fandom, I think a lot of the online fandom outright, like, just, if Zack Snyder had wanted to, like, if they wanted to blow Zack Snyder, if he would let them, they'd blow Zack Snyder. You know what I mean? They live in this world where they feel like these characters are more important than they are. And in the hierarchy of power in, comics, which again, like, comics sell, they will sell, but they don't also, like, their numbers aren't, like, they're not winning out the war. Fucking manga is winning the war. That is gaining ground at astronomical levels. Anime is destroying a lot of other, I don't want to say destroying, but, like, again, it's gaining ground at astronomical levels, right? The kids today they just don't fucking care. They don't care. They might know the character. They might want to see the character, but they don't necessarily give a shit.
Yeah. Well, I do read comics, and I've grown up reading Superman comics, but I realize, it's not, I have to look outside of that and basically, see what other people who don't read comics think of a particular character, especially general audience people like you, and I just feel like obviously the general audience make up more than whatever the comic book fandom is,
Yeah.
Which is probably like the 2% at most.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, when we talk about, like, the multiverse and things like that, as I've said, like, the average person in Oklahoma is not going to know what the fuck this is. And it becomes very convoluted and it becomes very hard to explain if you don't lay the groundwork. Marvel laid the groundwork. They've done very well laying the groundwork because they had a plan. DC hasn't had a plan. They haven't had a plan for years. And every time they get close to a plan, they get cold feet and they run. And now we're at a place where new people are in charge. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. But I feel that if they give Henry Cavill a movie and it doesn't do well, then he's done. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
I'm excited to see the character come back. I'm excited to see Ben. I would love it if they brought back Zach and did another movie. I'd be all up on that. But at the same time, as a fan, I'm tired of waiting and I'm tired of getting my hopes up and I'm tired of what I feel to be lackluster films. Birds of Prey was lackluster to me. Wonder Woman 84 was garbage. Black Adam was mid-tier. Suicide Squad I loved. Peacemaker I loved because there was a competent storyteller at the helm. And we got that now as a person running the company. And I do think that Zack Snyder is a very competent storyteller and I love his work.
I do too.
But I mean, it's like at the same time, you have to give me a character that I think the general audience can resonate with. And when you have a character that is all powerful, very Christ-like in an age where religion has been seeing massive decline in numbers, that is going to have you're going to see the ripple effect of that, the apathy towards a character. Because here's the thing. It doesn't matter if Superman loves mankind and he just wants the best for mankind and he wants to be the Boy Scout and hug the world and protect the world. Dude, we don't have that kind of ideals anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have those kind of ideals. If Superman was real, then why the fuck isn't he stopping climate change? Okay. Why the fuck isn't he doing all this shit in these movies, But at the end of the day, they keep giving us the same story over and over and over and over and over again. We don't need that.
I blame that on the gatekeepers for basically keeping the character in this stagnant state that he's been in for decades.
Because I think because they don't know what to do with him.
Well, that's why when you get someone like Zack Snyder, who's trying to basically move that character out of that stagnant area and out of the shadow of Christopher Reeves, it's just
only for Black Adam to drag him back.
Yeah, and I think I just think general audience and fans like me are just getting sick and tired of seeing the character always like just being stuck in this stagnant, like this one particular fandom.
Well, I love what Snyder did with him in Man of Steel. I went into Man of Steel thinking it was going to suck. I walked out having it be one of my favorite films of the year. I loved him in BVS. I loved him in the Snyder Cut. I think Zack Snyder, by deconstructing Superman to the way that they did, I think works really well to the core aspect of the character. Mo here says, you just don't want to understand this always. No, fuck that. The character is simple. The character is simple, but we live in complex times. And that even the time frame when Superman was created and Superman evolved and adapted over the decades, those were in and of themselves, they were complex times. But we've also been in a place now where we have such a vast amount of access to information and different types of stories and different ways of telling these stories. They still seem to pigeonhole Superman into a character that is something that is boring. And I think Snyder did a good job, but then everyone's like, oh my God, I hated what Zack did to Superman. He destroyed him. # not my Superman. But then you get the other side that's like, oh my God, Henry Cavill is this generation's Superman. And it's so much noise and so much conflict. But Rational here says for 5, thank you, buddy. The multiverse / Arrowverse and not having a plan really diminished the DC brand. Even mediocre MCU films make a lot of money. Well, the thing is though, the Arrowverse had a plan, but that plan was run by Greg Berlanti. And they didn't overlap it with the films, which is what they should have done, because that is the only real way to go about this. And Marvel beat them to the punch, as they literally do with fucking everything. And it ends up making DC look bad because they just never had the competent leadership.
Yeah. To me, well, when I don't know, I look at James Gunn as sort of like a double-edged sword where it's, to me, he's better than Hamada. I think anybody can be better than Hamada in that old regime, but I just feel like James Gunn is sort of like, I don't know, he's good in certain areas, but like, I just don't think his certain style is obviously not for everyone. I mean, he does have like a fan base, but like that fan base obviously didn't go out and support his Suicide Squad movie.
Well, they supporting it though. That's a bit of a loaded thing, only because it was available streaming and it was available on HBO Max. We were also at the surge of the Delta variant, so there was a lot of uncertainty in regards to that. But the movie did very well on HBO Max. So I think I get what you're saying, but it's like when we talk about support, that support is something that it's very hard to gauge. However, on that note, it is almost 12:40 in the morning. I got to get to bed because I got to take my one kid to school in the morning, and hopefully my other one doesn't vomit all over the place because that was just disgusting to clean.
Can I talk to you about like saying one more thing?
Yeah.
So the other night you were saying how during Cavill's interviews he says he wants to do a super joyful and happy Superman, right?
Yes.
Yeah, to me personally, it kind of comes off being very needy or just very desperate, if you know what I mean, to the point where I'm just like, oh God, it's just like, if that, like, I don't mind going for a joyful and like more joyful Superman, but if it's just going to be doing it for the sake of reaching nostalgia, like how it was with Superman Returns, then it's just like, I have no interest, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right? And if done well, it can yield a lot of cash. But if people are nostalgic for Christopher Reeve Superman, then go watch Christopher Reeve Superman or Superman Returns.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, if that's what they're going to try to do, it's like, why bother when I can just go watch those films? It's like, why are you wasting my time when really I just want to see a kind of a new take on the character, like what Zack Snyder was doing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know Geeks here says that James Gunn did Brightburn. He just wrote it and produced it. That was all it was. It was like the Belko experiment. It was another movie that he had a script for that they made for super cheap. You know what I mean? Like that's all Brightburn was. So it's just like, he didn't hire different people like he did with Brightburn. He didn't he was just a producer on it. So, yeah. And Ryan here was right. Remember Barry's, remember Christopher Reeve Superman. Exactly.
So it's like, it's cool to hear him say that he wants to do a more joyful Superman, but I'm like, okay, but is there anything else that you're going to try to do? Because that just like, that doesn't really like, instill any confidence in me, because that's just very basic. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
It's just
dude,
like,
Superman is kind of a basic character. He is. He think about it, right? Like, look at Batman. Batman, rich kid. Okay, that makes it interesting because he's affluent. His family is murdered in front of him. He gets angry, turns that anger into training, becomes the Dark Knight of Gotham, fights crime from the shadows, instills fear because of his rage and his anger. But he becomes in the process the world's greatest detective and has a great rogues gallery of villains. Superman. Oh, so my planet is destroyed when I'm only like a day old. Oh, that fucking sucks. Oh, I'm in Earth. Okay, well, I'm in Kansas.
well, yeah.
I have white conservative Christian parents that are going to raise me with good old fashioned traditional American values. And then you know what? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just gonna be like the fucking good old fashioned Midwest American. We don't live in that world anymore.
Yeah,
We
so
don't live in
it's
that
just,
world anymore.
you and I both agree that we just want Superman with more layers.
Sure. And I think Zack Snyder did that. I think there's a scene in like the extended cut of BVS where he calls his mom, and he's just like, I don't know what to do. And like, that was him being human. That was him being human, of not knowing what to do. And he ends up contacting his mom, or he goes and sees his mom, I think. And she's like, you don't owe him anything, right? Like, fuck him, basically, and people are like, Ma can't never say that. I'm like, yeah, she cares about her kid more than she cares about it being Superman. Because I think if you put more of an emphasis on Ma and Pa Kent, caring about the super being rather than their son, you're doing a disservice to them as parents. Sorry, I feel like both they did an excellent job with the moral questioning. Like, should I have let those kids die? I don't know, maybe. Like, I'm glad you didn't, but like, what could the outcome potentially be? Because life has a grayscale. That's where it's at. But I don't know. I don't know if people are just afraid of ever thinking in that abstract, or if they're just so conditioned that they can't see him in that. They have to have black and white Superman. Like, it just challenges their mind in a way that's unnecessary. Like, it just breaks them, I think. Like, we make fun of the geeks and gamer types for being mad at every kind of diverse casting, or every time a woman gets a job or some shit like that. And you have to ask yourself, are they really upset, or is it just a play? But they might be playing it, but their audience legitimately believes it, and they get worked up and they get angry over something that is just different. And that's what's happening here as well. Right. Yeah. It's like, that's what's happening here as well. And people go, but the character, but the comics say this. You're telling me that the different runs by different writers over the span of literal decades that have fundamentally changed the core concept of the character time and time again. Which one is accurate? Tell me which one is accurate. Which Superman is accurate? That's my question. And that's where I'm at with it.
Just to be clear, it's not like you and I are asking for an evil Superman. Like,
you know what? Fuck it. I am actually asking for an evil Superman. And I'll tell you why. Because that's interesting. Because mankind fighting back to stop God is interesting.
Tell that to RJ.
RJ needs to get laid. That's what I'll say to that. But it's like, it's just, no, when you deal with something that is pure good, the best way to tell the story is to look at it through the juxtaposition. What would happen if he went pure evil? How would you stop that? That's compelling. That's interesting. Oh no, he's got to save a kitten from a fucking tree. Yawn, kill me, bore. I'm just like, no, it's done. It's done.
And it's not like, but it's not like Snyder was going to make him just decide to go evil. It's like, it's obvious that Darkseid was going to control him. It's not like, so I don't, only temporarily too. So it's like, I don't see what the big deal is with these people.
Well, really. No, Snyder would have gotten to that point, but the character would have gone through a journey. And I feel a lot of people are just afraid of that journey. If Superman at the end of Zack's arc ends up becoming that Boy Scout, cool. We at least got to see him go on a fucking journey. But these people are afraid of characters evolving. That's the biggest fucking problem there. That's the biggest issue in my mind. Characters evolve. Things happen in stories. They have to fundamentally move the needle going forward. If not, you just run stagnant. As you said, Superman's been stagnant for years. Black Adam brought him out of the shadows only to have him appear for 5 seconds and then take him back to Christopher Reeve. It's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like if it was the same Superman where Snyder left off after the Snyder cut, I think a little bit more people in the fandom would have been excited to go see that.
I don't know what they would have been excited to see or not, to be honest with you. I have no freaking idea what they would have been excited to see.
Because that was like a bit of too much of a 180. It's like, oh, we're going on this dirty note. It's like, nope, we're going to go back.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But anyway, I do got to get it's 12:45. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll be back on. So thank you, Film Goblin, for coming on. I'm just going to boot you out, buddy, but thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you guys very much for hanging out tonight. Very interesting conversation. I know we fundamentally disagree quite a bit about Superman. That's okay. That's okay. I'm glad you guys have the Superman that you like coming back. I hope they do something good with them. But in the meantime, I got to go to bed. Another day. Another grip of movie news tomorrow night. Hopefully with less vomit. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great evening. Thank you again for watching, and peace.